Hello, hello, and welcome to Light Sprinkles. I'm Spring Ulrich. Today I'd like to discuss with you and go over tips and tools that have assisted me in my journey that I hope will assist and serve you in your journey in self-care. Because let's face it, number one, the biggest thing about grief and whatever it is that you're grieving is that it actually is physically taxing on your body. It actually manifests in physical pain, discomfort, and it's really exhausting. So taking care of your physical body is of utmost importance during this time, and that's the best gift that you can really give yourself, is to really support yourself in loving and in nurturing ways. And I want to be able to discuss some ways that have worked for me, and that I hope you will be able to take some of these baby steps in to support you in better health and higher vibrations upon your journey, wherever you are at in your stage of grief. So, self-care. First thing I really recommend for you is to be really conscious about what it is that you are putting into your body and taking in first thing in the morning. And I'd really recommend hydration, hydration, hydration. Water is the key to all life. It's the magical element that will serve you in your highest and best good and your highest and best life. And here I am performing on this video and podcast, and I know you can probably hear my sprinklers coming on because my sweet husband is adjusting our irrigation, and he's getting that working again. So I'm super grateful for that, even though it may end up being a little uncomfortable in the actual experience of listening. So I got a little distracted with that. So self-care, first thing, hydrate, 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 lots and lots of water. So I know that there's so many things out there that talk about, your 8 cups of water a day. Some people recommend a gallon a day, and that's really, truly a good number to go by. But depending on, your body size and what you are accustomed to. Carrying a bottle of water with you all the time, everywhere you go. I have my water bottle that I love and use and drink out of. I will hydrate with you right now. I love water more than any other beverage or more than any other drink. I truly do. It's such a wonderful experience for me. Nothing quenches the thirst like water does for me. So I highly recommend getting your bottle of water, whatever that is, and really loving the one that you carry around and washing it daily, filling it up with fresh, clean water for you to drink and stay hydrated. And if you're not used to drinking water, to put something in it that is really alkalizing, like lemon. Lemon is the next thing that I would recommend that you take into your body every morning. It's super cleansing. Do warm lemon water in the morning. Give yourself 20 minutes before you ingest anything else, so you can drink your water, and then also drink your warm lemon water, and give yourself that 20 minutes to just let the lemon water do its detoxification, and just, it's so good on so many levels to hydrate your body, to give you that cleansing benefit through your gallbladder, through all of your parts internally. It's like a little mini cleanse every day. So, and it also gives you a boost of vitamin C, and it's very good for you. So lemon water in the morning. I do that, and I've done that for many, many years. I did that at the beginning of my journey with my husband when he was diagnosed with melanoma. We ended up going to the PH Miracle Center, and that was a really incredible experience to do that with him and learn about healing foods and alkalizing foods, all vegetarian, all plant-based, from the earth, what things to eat and what things would serve our bodies in the optimal health and rejuvenation of the cells. We were going for natural remedies because they really didn't give us very good statistics at all for his healing. And so we went to the PH Miracle Center in California, and I learned all about how to support my husband through his cancer journey with all sorts of foods that were healing and of high vibration and from the earth. And I still take what I learned from that and implement it into my life today, even though he didn't get the healing we were looking for. The melanoma did take him in 4 months. I still take that lemon water in the morning. I still make sure that I get loads of greens and eat really organically and healthfully in my life, because I feel better when I do, and I really feel that connection to the earth and the land, and it's tasty and I love it. So being able to get your water, definitely get that in. And if you have access to lemons or even limes, those are very alkalizing. And so taking that into your day, and I would challenge you to, or invite you, I don't want to challenge or bring you anything that is super difficult. Just take whatever you can from this, even if it's just one step, and implement that into your life. So I invite you to, if you have a habit of just drinking coffee first thing in the morning, to maybe substitute that with the lemon water first before you have your coffee, and see how that feels in your body. See if that brings more calm. See if that assists you in just setting your body up for better digestion, and see what the difference is in your own body. Try it out and see if it works. And then definitely stay hydrated. Try to, fill your bottle up that you take with you, and fill it up like 4 times a day. Just keep it simple. However it is for you. If you're like, I need to fill that up 4 times to get my however many ounces to get you that water in. So hydrate, do lemon water. And the third thing that is really powerful is to move your body. I know that when you're going through stress and when you're going through grief, sometimes that's like one of the last things that you really want to do, is to get up and move, because sometimes you just want to cocoon and rest and just stay in bed and pull the covers over and just not have to do anything. And what I know is that a body in motion stays in motion, and it helps to shake off and get everything out of your body when you're moving, and to move all the emotions, because when you're going through grief, it's messy, and you're going to go through so many different experiences at different times, and it's super beneficial and helpful to move all of those emotions out through the body, so they don't get stuck and they don't create further pain and discomfort in your body, and you don't hold on to them, and you allow your body to de-stress and to manage that stress in a much more efficient way, to be able to give your body an outlet to move through that. So find a body movement that works for you, whether it's walking or whether it's, for me, I did a lot of rebounding on my little trampoline, my little mini trampoline that I had, and I would just jump on that thing. I would turn on my music, and I would have an experience where I would just allow myself to just put on my sad music or whatever, and I would cry, and I would jump, and I would bounce, and I would just be on my yoga ball, and I would be bouncing up and down, and I would be expressing however I needed to. I would dance, and I would move my body in ways however I needed to move, because it was so physical. It was such a physical experience to grieve the loss of my husband and my love, that I truly did just sink into that body movement. And it wasn't always just the trampoline and my yoga mat and my yoga ball. I would, do my hula hooping, or I would get on, I would take my dog for a walk, or my dog and my son, I would take them out and I would walk the mile loop around my home every day. And I would try to get out, whether it was, rain, snow, sunshine, whatever it was, because I needed that nature connection. And that's another step that I would say. The fourth thing that I would recommend is for you to get in nature. Get your feet in the soil. That is so healing and so grounding, because when you go through something like the loss of a person that you deeply love, it can be very ungrounding, and you can be really, really up in all kinds of stress and shock, and be really feeling super ungrounded, and your whole foundation can feel shaken. So getting that grounding of the earth energy, get out in Pachamama on the earth with your bare feet as much as you can. If you're in an area where it's cold, bundle up and try to go out there, put your socks on and put your feet into the soil, or walk in the grass if it's good weather. Whatever you can do to get that sunshine and that earth connection, and to really ground yourself deeply with the soil, with the earth, and just get out there and walk. Even if it's just getting your shoes on and walking outside, just being in nature. Nature is so healing. It has so many gifts to speak to you and to just be in engagement with you. And the earth has so many elements to be able to inspire and give you gifts, whether it's the birds calling or a beautiful sunset or a sky or, you know, dandelion that you can come across and pick and make a wish. My children and I call them wish flowers. When we find the dandelions that have all of the seeds ready to blow, we call those wish flowers, as I'm sure many of you do, and we make wishes on them. And so whatever it is you can find outside in nature, it is so healing. And that has been my go-to in my times of my deepest and darkest depression and sadness and grief and sorrow. So I highly recommend getting out there. There are countless times that I had ended up in my backyard, just a sobbing mess on the ground, sitting against my tree or under my grapevine and just bawling, wailing, just, you know, trying to find that time when I had close neighbors that it wouldn't disturb them, but that I could really allow myself to express how I needed to, and to just really allow the giving over of the emotion to the earth and allowing it to express through my body. So that's another really great way to have that self-care within your body and within the experience of grief, wherever you need to be at with that. So that was, I think, step 5. Being in nature. And the 6th thing I'd like to share with you today is baths, being in water. So we already talked about ingesting water into your body and making sure you really hydrate all the cells so that you can think better and that you can, you know, give your body all that it needs to function optimally, especially during the time when all of your adrenals are sapped and you're in shock and going through really stressful times. We know that stress is not good for the body, and water really facilitates moving through toxins and, you know, delivering all the nutrients that your cells need. So, as well as the hydration. So being in water is also really therapeutic. So going through the birth of my children and, you know, having training from hypnobirthing and water births and things like this, it's also been my experience. And being in water is like the midwife of birth is, I think, what I heard someone say in one of my my birthing classes when I was getting ready to have a natural birth with my son, that they shared that being in water was like the midwife's epidural. Was the water can soothe the muscles and soothe the body to such a degree and state that it can facilitate that relaxation and really let the body do more healing on a deeper level. And if you're going through grief, if you're going through sorrow, if you're going through any of these things, or you have, you know, those body aches, those muscle aches, I recommend that you get a hold of some Epsom salt and put that in with your bath. Now for me, I'm not really the best at measuring. I didn't really want to take the time to do that. I would just take the entire, you know, package that I would find at the store, and I would just dump the entire thing in. Sometimes I would use half a bag or a full bag, and I would just find that to be really healing and assisting. And also in my training through prana energy healing work, salt is a very wonderful way to clean and clear energies from your body, from your aura, and to just really let go of all negative energies. And it transforms those negative energies and experiences. And so salt is a very wonderful earth element to be able to facilitate the water in that relaxation. So whether it's Epsom salt or Himalayan salt or, you know, just regular salt that you can find to put into your bath, that will facilitate in your healing experience. Just one word of caution: if you haven't ever experienced a salt bath before, and you probably already know this if you have, that you don't want to get the salt in your eyes because it's very burny. And if you have any cuts or scrapes, you can minimize that discomfort by putting a little bit of Vaseline on the scrape, and that will assist it from being so burny. And my experience is, if I've, you know, freshly shaved legs or something like that, then it can be a little bit, excuse the a boat on the river here driving past and making a buzzing sound if you're hearing that. So if you take the Vaseline and put that on there, or if you're freshly shaved, sometimes it will be initially quite shocking and very uncomfortable, but then it kind of dissipates in a few minutes, and as you acclimate in the water, it kind of just goes away in a little bit, but it will not if with your eyes. So you want to make sure you have a rag with you or something to be able to dab your eyes and freshen yourself up if you need to touch your eyes or your face, so that you don't get that in your eyes. And if you do, just turn on your cold water and splash your face, and it takes care of it pretty readily. So Epsom salt baths, I highly recommend those. And the 7th step and tip I would like to give you today on self-care during these times for yourself would be to give yourself a pass. Be more gentle on yourself and just allow yourself to do nothing. And I know in our culture that's a really challenging thing to do and a very challenging space to be in, because our culture is built and based on striving, accomplishment, success, and grades. So we are, in my experience, has been that it's really easy to get into that self-criticized, that critical space. And so giving yourself a pass that this is a challenging time and that this is something that perhaps you've never been through before, and that you're doing the best every day that you can, and that you are taking the steps and moving forward in the best way possible. And with that, giving yourself a pass, I'd like you to really consider, if you have lost someone in your life, if you have experienced a death in your life from someone that you are really close to, that and you're within that first year, especially if you're within that first year, to be able to, I called it, when I was utilizing it for myself, right after my late husband passed, I called it using the death card. That if there was an expectation or a request upon my time that I just did not feel resonated, or that I didn't feel I was up for, or that I could do, then I would not be afraid to use the death card and say, I'm sorry, I can't do that because my husband just died. And that would be the reason. And I didn't need any other reason. And when I was able to use that, it assisted me when I had a hard time saying no. And when I had a hard time creating that space that I desperately needed, when I allowed myself to use the death card and say, look, I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to show up for that function, or I'm not able to serve in that capacity right now because my husband just died. That's all I needed to say. I didn't need to justify anything else. I didn't need to say why, because that was pretty self-explanatory that I was in grief, and I was allowing myself that space to grieve and that space to be able to do nothing else but that. And whatever that looked like for me, I was going to take the time to walk that journey and to walk that path. And if whatever was being called upon on my time didn't work, then I wasn't afraid to use that and to pull that card. And so I hope that that will give you permission to also give yourself that grace, that permission to say no to the things that are not going to serve you in your best and highest good and in your journey through your grief process. So remember that it is a physical experience as well as an emotional experience, and that taking care of your physical being and your physical body will facilitate you in moving through all of the emotional and spiritual and mental pieces. When you can get your body taken care of, and you can remember that your body still needs a lot of support during this time, and give your body the most loving and nurturing care, you're setting yourself up for a better experience and a better ability to really move through these huge energies that are going to come through during your grief time and your grief experience. So these are also great tips and tools if you're not in grief. So they're just great things to do for yourself and to love on yourself more. And especially when you are going through something that is so deeply emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually draining, then you get to set yourself up for the most success, to be able to preserve your energy and to preserve your body to the highest functioning capability as possible. So I hope this has assisted you in your ways of being, and that you might be able to take, if if not all of these steps and tools that I've provided for you today, if you can just take one of these items and take action on that, and then master that and get that into a routine. Say, I'm going to commit to doing this for 2 weeks and see how that feels. And then if you get that one mastered, then take on another step. Because if you try to do everything all at once, or try to make massive change all at once, it's really challenging to take those on as a life transformation piece where you really stick with it and that you get the benefit. I'm going to pause for just a second here because now there's an airplane. So, airplane! Which is a really fun thing because just perfect. When my late husband passed, I got to be there for his last breath. And I requested that of him. I said, if you're going to go, I'd like to be there for your last breath. And he honored me with that, and he waited for me to be there before he took his last breath. And he actually had locked eyes with me before he closed his eyes and didn't open them again, and expired his last breath. And before he did, I was able to really speak from my heart and tell him all of the things that I loved about him, and all of the things that just I wanted to share and express to him. And in that, I expressed that every time I see a bird, or every time I see an airplane, that I would think of him. And so for an airplane at the end of the session to fly over right now is perfect for me, because I always see those as a little God wink, or I call it a Daryl wink, because that to me reminds me that he's still with me, and that he still is a part of my being, a part of my heart, a part of my experience. So every time I see a bird flying over, every time I see an airplane, then I think of him. And I told him that every time I saw that I would think of him. And that has been a really wonderful gift for me to be able to have given him, to let him know that I will always remember him and he'll always be with me. And also for myself to always be just kind of like, when you have your glass. I love doing cheers, by the way. If you have your glass with anything, with white water or whatever, to be able to cheers, to just do that little hat tip, do that little cheers, like I'm thinking of you, I'm sending you love, I still love you. And that just feels really good to me, to be able to share that, and to be able to experience seeing airplanes and seeing birds, and that every time I do, I think of him. So, and in fact, my children yell and scream, airplane! And I hold up my hand for, I love you, like airplane, every time. And so they do that as well. And they may not think of him every single time like I do, but it's a really fun and celebration experience when we do that together. And so, yeah, that's another one of the gifts that I received in the transition of my husband, of my late husband. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed our time today and our session. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you taking the time and the opportunity to give yourself this time to hear and to listen to this information, and to be able to take some of this into your own life and experience, and see how it can serve you in your healing and in your journey. Have a beautiful day. I hope you have a blessed, blessed day. Love and light. Bye for now.